Didn't get a chance yesterday to film my Indian food that I made, so we're having a little bit more for lunch today. So I will show you guys how I make my chicken tikka masala. So all the ingredients that I use for my Indian chicken masala, you need some onions. These are diced onions that I had from last night. Salted butter, cumin, black cumin, garam masala. I have other masala, but I like the taste of garam masala. Paprika, cumin, butter, which I have a fresh stick of butter. Tomatoes. This is chili powder. Some salt, some ghee, and some garlic. The reason why I have butter and ghee is because when I make my roti, I like the taste of real butter. Ghee and actual butter kind of taste different, even though they're like the same kind of thing. But I like to use a little bit of both when I'm cooking. Here we have our tomato, and what you're going to do is dice up your tomato. So it's all diced up, and now it does not matter how you dice up your tomatoes. You just need to cut them up into diced pieces because it's all going to be blended later on anyway. So it does not matter how to dice it up, just make sure it's all diced up. So then you're going to turn your eye on to about 6 or 7 and add about 2 tablespoons of butter. After the butter, you're going to add about a tablespoon of ghee. Again, this is just how I do it because I like the taste of both the ghee and the butter. But yeah. And then you're just going to let this melt. And then I'll show you the next steps. While the butter is melting, I forgot to add that you are going to also need some heavy whipping cream. And some desi yogurt, which is basically Indian whole milk yogurt. I guess you can use whatever yogurt that you would like, but I like to use the straight up yogurt from the Indian store because it just tastes better, and it's personally to me different from any yogurt that you get at the regular grocery store. So now that your butter is melted, you're going to add your onions, and then you're going to add the tomatoes. After you added that, you're just gonna mix it all around. And now what you're doing, this is called sweating your vegetables. You're just gonna cook it down until it's soft and it releases a lot of the water. But you're gonna make sure that your tomatoes and your onions are soft. Next of all this, you're just gonna add about, I would say this is smaller than a tablespoon of garlic. And you're going to mix all that in there. You're not going to add any salt or anything to this because the butter, the regular butter that you put in this is salted. So as you see all of the stuff releasing, the juices, I'm just going to cook it down a bit. Okay, so this is pretty much sweated out enough. You're going to want like the skin to fall off and just the tomatoes and the onions to be kind of soft. But I turned my heat down to between 2 and 3, and I'm going to take this out of the pot and put it in a bowl and let it cool down, and then I'll show you the next steps. My tomatoes and onions in a bowl, and I'm just going to let this sit and cool down, and then I'll show you the next steps afterwards. What we're going to do is leave all of the drippings from the first layer of flavor in the pan, and now you're going to add about, I would say this is about 2 tablespoons of ghee. Just going to swirl that around in there and let this melt. It's just about melted. You're going to add a little more than a teaspoon of garlic. Add some cumin, about a little more than a teaspoon, and sprinkle some garam masala, about a tablespoon, a pinch of chili powder. With the chili powder, you can put as much as you like in it. I actually think I'll put a pinch more. And with this, you are going to add the salt, because the ghee that we have is unsalted ghee. A sprinkle of black pepper, which is about a teaspoon, I believe. Now, I'm just giving you my estimated ratio, and then you're going to mix all of this up. And what you're calling this is seasoning the oil, or seasoning your ghee. It opens up all your flavors, so you can season your meat really well. This is seasoned. We're going to add in all of our cubed chicken. Now this is chicken breast. This is about 1 chicken breast. You can add as much as you want for however many people that you are feeding, and adjust the seasonings to the amount of chicken that you're cooking. Now we are browning and cooking our chicken. If you watch my previous videos, this is kind of what we did with the chicken for our, the pork for our stew. So we're pretty much doing the same thing for the chicken. So here we have the chicken. It's pretty much almost done browning. Now, if you feel like the seasonings are sticking to the pan, you may want to add just a little bit more ghee as needed. But 2 big tablespoons should be enough. I say this because sometimes different pans that people use, it kind of sticks to the pan a bit. Like my pan is seasoned and used enough, so I just like how my meat cooks evenly in this pan. Okay, so the chicken is pretty much browned. Now I'm going to add the water. Now you are going to add enough water to just cover the meat right now. You don't want to add too much water. And I'm going to turn it up to 6 and then let it boil. Stir that in there and let it boil. So just wanted to add that I have my basmati rice in my Instapot cooking, but you can use whatever rice you want for your meal afterwards. So our stuff is in here. I do want to add that if you are using a blender and it does not seem that your stuff is blending well, add chicken broth. Do not add water. Add chicken broth because it'll enhance the flavor and make your mixture creamier and smoother. Our chicken is pretty much good. I'm going to turn this down a bit. So now I'm going to add a sprinkle of paprika, a sprinkle of my ground cumin. I'm also going to add a sprinkle of turmeric and then stir that up. So at this point, I'm just going to clean this up a bit while we let all these flavors come together. So at this point, I am going to add that with this next step, you're going to need garlic powder, onion powder, and sorry, you don't need the paprika. What you're going to do is add your blended up vegetables to your meat, and you're going to mix that up in there. If you hear a fan, I just turned on the fan above. It's getting pretty steamy in here. And then now you're going to add your more garam masala. This is about 2 tablespoons full. Now you're going to add some onion powder. and some garlic powder. And mix all of that up. Now that you added the tomatoes and onions, your food is going to get thicker because of the tomato. So you're basically making a curry. That's how all that looks. Now at this point, I stopped and tasted my food. And from here, before you add the cream and the yogurt, you want to adjust it to your own taste. Now, for me, I'm going to add another pinch of salt, but that is totally up to you guys on what you want, how salty you want it, how spicy you want it, how much cumin or masala you want. But all the ingredients that I put in here is just enough for me and my husband. Now I am adding about maybe 3 tablespoons of my desi yogurt and a splash of heavy cream, just a splash. And now I'm going to use my whisk to whisk it in there. You want to use a whisk over a spoon because you want to make sure that the yogurt that you put in there doesn't clump up. And then you pretty much have it there. That's pretty much your soup. Your stew. I'm going to let it boil just a little bit on low to really still make sure the flavors come together, because I'm all about having your flavors come together. But that is pretty much your chicken tikka masala. Well, I should put my version of chicken tikka masala, because there is many different versions, different recipes out there. So this is my take on chicken tikka masala and saving money from going out to get Indian food when I can cook it at home. Hey, forgot to add that this is some yogurt soup that I made yesterday. I'm going to make a video on how I make my yogurt soup for you guys if you're interested. If you are, just put it in the comments below.